In media, it is very important to understand what is conventional and what is not. Being a postmodern short film, I would have to be creative and not satisfy all of the conventions of what they expect to see. Bentley 1997 said that creativity is the creation of the new and the rearranging of the old. This lends itself to postmodernism as it means that intertextuality can play a key part. An example of when I've done this can be seen from Breaking Bad Series 4 Episode 5, in which I've took Henry, one of my leading actors, and put him in a situation very similar to what Jesse was in the Breaking Bad series. I felt this was effective and clearly showed intertextuality. I've also took influence from things like music videos for other scenes, such as when they were in the car. From my audience feedback, which I'll tell you about later, two key genres emerged: mystery and drama. I decided to make a hybrid genre and mix these two together in order to capture the maximum audience possible. Both of these genres tend to have conventions of darkness, for example, in their work. However, this was one that I used, but I didn't want to stick to too many more, so I kept it fresh and something new, I feel. Also, they tend to end with a closed narrative. You tend to find out what happens in the end. I didn't want to do this, as I feel it's not creative, it's the same old, and I wanted to do something new. Using the theory of binary oppositions, I tried to make my two main characters juxtapose each other in order to clearly show this. In terms of mise-en-scène, I tried to get my characters dressed in a fairly conventional way. I wanted them to look modern, and I didn't want them to look dated in any way. I wanted it to be fresh and targeted really at a younger audience, maybe of my age, for example. I chose to use dark backgrounds and bright lighting. This was really effective as I was able to showcase what I can do with a torch and reflectors, something that helped me out massively in my work. An example of when I was not so conventional with mise-en-scène was how I dressed in it. I dressed up as an RAF pilot, and I felt that this was a good example to showcase that I could do other things with mise-en-scène as well. I couldn't just get them to turn up in any old clothes. I wanted it to be deliberate, and I wanted the audience to see that I've done everything for a reason, and this was a chance to do this to the maximum effect. The combination of my ancillary text and main product would be very important. I looked at work such as James Bond and saw themes that matched the film and the posters together. It was very important that I did something similar. I achieved this firstly by looking at mise-en-scène. I noticed that dark colours were a key theme in my main product, so I had to keep this for my posters in order to create a link. I did this both through clothing as well as lighting, using a simple torch and reflectors to illuminate the characters on shot. In my poster, postmodernism would be important. I kept intertextuality and a key aspect of this, using comparisons to the famous James Bond film From Russia with Love in the title, which are very similar. In the arranging of images in my poster, it is very difficult. You have to do it subtly in order to not create an overwhelming array of photos. To do this, I use transparency quite a lot, hiding images in the poster that other people will pick up once they have watched the work. For both my main product and my ancillary text, lighting was crucial. I kept the theme constant of dark backgrounds and bright lighting. This meant I was able to showcase this very effectively. With regards to my film review, I made this very different. It had to juxtapose my work in order to not look like it's by the same person, which you don't really want in this. It has to look independent and new. I also talked about my work in a very critical light. This is so that it does not have any bias involved in it, something that I really did not want to come through in my work. Throughout my work, audience feedback was very important. John Hartley, 1987, said that institutions are obliged to not only talk about an audience, but also to them and for them. In order to get this audience feedback, I used a variety of techniques. First of all, I used SurveyMonkey, a Web 2.0 tool designed for making surveys. This was very useful as it meant that I could make a relatively fast survey that could be distributed easily through email. This meant that getting it to an audience was easy, and it also meant that it was anonymous. This was crucial as I did not want to get any bias in my work, as may be the case from face-to-face interviews. I also conducted basic surveys. To do this, I made simple question and answers on a Word document printed this off and handed it out to people in my target audience. This was useful as it meant that I could hand it out to people and I knew that they'd received it, which is always helpful. However, the results are not so easy to store as it is not digital. To do this, I used a simple database, which, to be honest, worked quite well. It meant that I could analyse my results, and it also meant that it was clearly displayed. However, this is not time effective and did take a lot more time than I would hope. I also conducted face-to-face interviews. This was very effective as it meant I would ensure quick responses. However, using members of the target demographic who I knew, this lent itself to bias. In order to prevent this, I tried asking questions that were neither negative nor positive, merely constructive. This meant that I was able to gain information that would be useful in my work. Throughout my work, I took this audience feedback very seriously. If my audience aren't happy, then ultimately I can't be either. So to ensure that I put their words into action, I made massive changes to my narrative. I originally had a narrative planned out which resolved around a completely different storyline. However, I changed this because the audience didn't like this. This was very useful for me, as it meant that I would be able to produce a greater quality of work, crucial in making this task effective. The biggest improvement in technology that I've experienced is the use of WordPress. WordPress is a blogging site that was essential in maintaining my work in a good order. At AS, I was not required to create a blog, so this came as something very new to me. However, due to the simple and effective way that WordPress works, I instantly found how to use it and have been able to present work in various ways. Another key advance for me has been the use of Web 2.0 tools. During AS, I had not used these, so it really came as a shock when I was introduced to these. However, it did not take me long to get used to them, as they fast became crucial in helping me produce better quality work. The ones that I really enjoyed using were Prezi, Canva and Scribd. However, I did also use ones like MindMaple, but I found these less effective in conveying my work. This year I've been using Final Cut Pro X, a step up from iMovie which I used last year. This ensured that I was able to improve my work and also be more creative in doing so. Bernardi, Byrne and Buckingham 2006 stated that technological developments may well be linked to advances in creativity of the users. This was something that I feel I have clearly demonstrated in the way that I have been able to use skills such as chroma key and filters which have previously not been so easy to use on the iMovie software. This really helped me make my work more creative and have a better feel to it. Final Cut Pro really allowed me to be precise in my work. It meant I could edit it to the precise frame that I needed to. This was very important as in order to create a good piece of work I had to be this precise. Another technology that I have not previously used is Adobe Fireworks. This was very important in creating my poster and allowed me to edit my pictures very accurately and remove all colours that I did not need. Green screen is another technology that is new to me. I haven't used this in the past, so it came as something that I needed to learn. To do this, you need either a green or blue piece of paper or other material. It is important that it is evenly lit and flat so that there are no colour differences in the material. This was crucial in the production of my question 1 for this evaluation. Using the technology Chroma Key, this was easy to do and remove the green background.